Hello, my name's Phil Whelans, and I've called a small select group of you here to this basement for a very special reason. Jim, we've been worried about your behaviour over the last few months, and the first thing you need to know is that everyone here loves you. Your drinking, your fury, the 4-letter rants that we've heard, seen and felt on Facebook and on the nation's airwaves and in the podcast waves, which I believe Bill Gates told me they were called, have become too much. Hello, and welcome to Stop Intervention Time. Jim, Sam Delaney is here. Hello, Sam.
Hi, I'd just like to say, Jim, you've always been a good friend to me and a role model in many ways, but your behaviour over the past season has at times intimidated me and made me feel uncomfortable in your presence, and I just want the old Jim back.
Jim, the times when we do the podcast and you kick me under the table and hurl drink at me and bite me.
And when he put a fag out on my face.
They make us sad, and we want the old Jim back, Jim.
Oh, yeah, okay. I'll just have a drink.
Can you commit to change? That's all we want to know.
Yeah, I will. I'll change. This is it. This is the start. Today is the first chapter of a new Jim novel.
Good.
Jim 2.0.
Yeah.
Good.
So, on this week's...
I'm now a sequel.
On this week's Stop Hammer Time, we'll be talking about Jimmy Kebe. Jim?
Yeah, he's one of my favourite players who doesn't play for West Ham.
So, on the course of this podcast, we'll be talking about... there's a game of football at the weekend, I believe, Sam. Wembley Stadium?
There's an association football match taking place at the home of the national game.
Home of the national game.
Wembley Stadium.
And we're in it. And we're in it to win it. And win it we will. And we'll talk about how we're going to win that game during the course of this podcast. We'll hear from Sam Allardyce, who's got some things to say. There will be a quiz. And a bit of Q&A.
Yep.
What's that?
A bit of Q&A.
People being able to ask questions, personal questions of you, Jim Grant.
Oh,
intimate
good.
questions.
Good, I like that.
Jim, when I said Q&A, did you hear Quim and Ale? Did your 4-letter mentality suddenly put together?
A URL that I saw you registering earlier today, incidentally.
Yeah.
Quimandale.com.
Stop, but we should write that down.
Yeah, we should.
God,
that's worth it.
We're full of ideas.
Should we also mention that we are joined by the Knights of the Platinum Angel.
The Knights of the Platinum Angel have joined us.
Yeah.
The Knights of the Platinum Temple.
Knights of the Platinum Temple
have joined us. A small elite group of people that have helped to bring this podcast alive and bring it into existence. Not our mothers, but a small group of highly attractive and intelligent people who share the same interests as us have caused this podcast.
Well, of you and I don't think they share some of Jim's more macabre interests. That would be rather presumptuous for us to say.
Who knows what Jim's thinking?
Yeah.
Well, I don't.
He's absolutely slaughtered. Let's be honest, he's switched off.
He's actually drinking heavily now.
Yeah, no.
It's just a 4-letter torrent. Let's kick off with, as you know, I get emails from Sam Allardyce. They turn up in my inbox quite often on a Monday or Tuesday morning after a football game. And there wasn't a game, but he's still written to me anyway. I don't know, he must just like me.
He does listen. I've established this week that he is a fan of the podcast.
Of the podcast.
So that must be why.
Is that true?
Yeah. Spoke to the club this week. Started going into a laborious and completely meaningless explanation of what Stop Hammer Time was. Because obviously there is no real explanation. You couldn't put this into words.
It's more a feeling.
It's undefinable.
I just started making sounds, and I said, you know, the feeling you get, you know, when you're 3 and you're in the playground, you smell the grass. It's just been freshly cut, and they were like, "Look, mate, we've heard of Stop Hammer Time. If that's what you're on about." Anyway, they said, "Oh yeah, we've all listened to it here, including Big Sam." So I can only assume that's why you get special treatment from him. He's a fan.
Almost certainly. And he's emailed me, and I'll just read it out to you. It goes, "Hello, Philip. Sam Allardyce here. Everyone is raring to go and there's a real determination in the group. We're looking forward to Saturday and the prospect of 3 more points. I said 2 points per game would get us promoted. You all heard it, plus I've got it on tape. And I said playing more games than the other teams would be a way to achieve this. And I am, of course, right. We are now on 1.91666 recurring points per game, and a win on Saturday would give us our target of 1.93877510204081 mark. Just 0.061244 points short of our target. Who's deluded now, Philip? Who's deluded now, eh? Never question me, never. When I told my wife, Lynn, that Bruce Willis is a ghost in that film, I was right and she was wrong. And the hand job I won as a result was well deserved. Well deserved. She was wrong to question me. I mean, the film's called Die Hard, for fuck's sake. Of course he's a ghost. Of course he's a fucking ghost. It's going to be a great atmosphere. You, the fans, are the 12th man, or in many of our games this season, the 11th man. It's time to get really behind the team, especially Matty Taylor, because he's not as good as the others. If we go up, we'll meet the challenge of Premiership football with the kind of Kevin Davis-like spirit we've shown this campaign. There's a quality you have, a kind of Davisness you have to get out the Championship. But once you're up in the Premiership, it's a harsh, unforgiving league. In many ways, the Kevin Davis of leagues. And we need a squad that can cope with the increased demands this league places on its players, whether a Drogba, a Van Persie, a Davis. If we go up, and we will, or my name's not Kevin Davis, and it's not, I'll be looking forward to bringing in 1 or 2 new faces over the summer. I'm not prepared to say who, but I think West Ham fans will be excited by the new faces. Come on, you Davises! Signed Sam Alakevin. Thanks.
Oh, that was nice of him.
Do you think... Who do you think Sam might bring in if we go up to the Premiership? Do you think I detected an
It's a conundrum, isn't it?
I detected an undercurrent in that email from Sam Allardyce that I think he might possibly buy a Bolton player, a relegated
when he
player.
goes into the meetings with the 2 Davids about prospective signings, it's reminiscent of that Little Britain thing with Dennis Waterman where he's only got one idea. So you got any ideas for goalkeepers in case Robert Green has... Can we bring in Jyski Laskalainen? Like, do you know any players apart from the 11 who made up your first team in Bolton 6 years ago? Should we get JJ Okocha? He's been retired for 8 years, you idiot.
Yes, I think it's safe to say we're going to get Kevin Davis if we go up to the Premiership.
We have an extensive network of scouts in a small area of northwest England.
Bolton area,
the northwest England of the year 2001.
Yes, yeah.
Christoph Duggery. He'll be. Oh, don't worry about that. He'll be there in a flash.
Do you think Peter Kay
I wasn't
is the
Duggery,
scout?
was it? Sorry, it's Djorkaeff.
Peter Kay is the scout for Sam Allardyce. As an observational comic, that would be quite good.
Peter, maybe. Or Vernon.
Yeah. And they're the list of famous Boltonians' ends.
Yeah. So, we're playing at the weekend at Wembley. And we spoke to Sam. We spoke to Jack Collison today, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
And we'll be hearing what we said to him later on.
Yeah.
But we don't know whether he'll be playing. He dislocated his shoulder, didn't he?
I saw that the news was a bit more optimistic, that he was sort of more likely to play than not.
Well, the club were adamant that we didn't discuss the injury with him, which I took to mean that Sam Allardyce has entered into the murky world of mind games against no less a thinker than Ian Holloway.
That's right. Yeah.
Which, who knows how that will end, but someone may have an embolism.
It's like that. It's like that film Heat with Pacino and De Niro trying to kind of outmaneuver each other.
The first time that they're in there. It'd also be like that scene in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, where they're both kind of floating around.
Up in tree branches.
Exactly, tree branches, kind of, using their own kung fu skills against one another, like a game of chess in many ways. That's how it's going to be between Allardyce and Holloway this
Holloway's
week.
going to be better at floating, surely.
I would assume so.
Or do you think that they didn't want us to mention Jack Collison's injury to him because he's forgotten he's injured?
Yeah. At the moment, Jack is unaware of his injury.
That's right.
So as long as you don't remind him of it, we reckon he'll be all right to play on Saturday.
Yeah. It'll only, when he collects his winner's medal and he can't actually lift his arm to take it off the person who gives it to him.
Now, his arm is, of course, covered in a whole sleeve's worth of tattoos, isn't it?
Maybe that's why it dislocated. It was the sheer weight of the ink that pulled it down.
We're a very tattooed team now.
We are, yeah.
Matt Taylor is a whole. He's got a whole body
Heavily
thing,
tattooed.
kind of lizard tattoo thing.
Yeah, I don't really
Faux
like
bear?
it.
He's very scaly.
Faux bear's got. I'm not really a fan of the heavy. I don't mind the odd tattoo here and there, but the whole sleeve's worth of tattoos. I don't really think that's becoming of a West Ham player. I couldn't see Martin Peters covered in his whole arm covered in tattoos, for example.
Do you think Rob Green's got a discreet one somewhere, like a little tucked away one?
Why are you bending round like that when you say it?
It's a strangely homoerotic remark, Jim. It's, more drink for Jim. Let's try and calm him down.
It was sort of almost camply flirtatious what he did then, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's coquettish.
He's coquettish, looking over his shoulder at me like a frightened deer in the woods.
Sorry, I thought we all fancied Rob Green. Sorry.
Well, Jim. We're all going. Where are we sitting, Jim?
Wembley.
Whereabouts?
I don't know. My brother got the tickets. He sent me a detailed text of where they were, but it's just a series of numbers, and he expected me to know
that's going to help
that
us
meant.
find our seats, Jim.
But I don't know how that translates into a position, a seat in the ground.
Numbers.
Do I?
Yeah.
We'll be somewhere.
Sam, you're getting a stretch limo.
I will be getting a stretch limo
with a bunch of mates.
With some mates, yes.
Like a kind of like an Essex girl's birthday party.
That's basically what it is. Yeah, I'll be showing my bum hole out the window and all those kind of things.
Right.
Yeah,
very good.
Do you remember when Pardew came on at the end of that night game against Ipswich
in a stretch limo?
Told everyone to get in a stretch limo. Told everyone to book their limos. He did. He instructed West Ham fans to
the Bantermeister. We miss him at times like this, don't we?
Yeah.
His top quality banter,
He's literally raped him.
Yeah. Bantersaurus. How we could do with Bantersaurus right now to give us his rousing banter and making light of rape.
Because he actually said he was very good at banter, didn't he?
He said, I've gone through this before. He said, the difference between me and most people in the game is I did a few years on building sites because I came to the game late. And as a result of that, he said, I've got better banter than any other manager in the top flight. And these are his words. He said, I could confidently verbally joust with any other manager in the Premier League. He also claimed that he had better banter than Allardyce, and that is why Yossi Benayoun signed for us and not Bolton. And off the back of all that, having for years proclaimed himself as the banter king of British football, he then was sacked after one appearance on Match of the Day too, for looking at a replay of a winger going past the fullback and just going live on air to Adrian Charles, he's absolutely raped him there. And Adrian Charles just goes...
It was a tremendous piece of banter.
If that's what passes for banter on building sites these days, then they've really gone downhill.
Absolutely. He's raped that grouting.
So we're presumably much happier that we're playing Blackpool than Birmingham, right? Is everyone...
I think that's probably safe to say, but it's sort of obviously the wheels have got to come off the idea that we've beaten them 8-1 already and that they're just going to roll over in this game. It's got to be a new, re-energised Blackpool that comes out.
Well, their form back end of the season has been good, hasn't it? Since we beat them at home.
They've sort of come into it, haven't they? It's not going to be easy, and
it's very rare that I feel confident. I can't remember ever really feeling confident going into any game as a West Ham fan.
No,
ever, not properly confident.
That would be wrong.
Hopeful. However, in this game, of course, anything could happen. But I look at Blackpool, and I think it's not coincidence that we thrashed them twice. It's because every team defended against West Ham, and we had no idea about how to get past teams when they defended deep at home. When we were at home. The reason we thrashed Blackpool at home is because Holloway can only play one way, and that's expansive attacking football, which we were able to exploit. At Wembley, on a big pitch like that, and they play with two very good wingers, they'll be really going for it. They'll be really going for the throat, I imagine, from the first go. And unless they score early, which they are capable of doing, I think the same thing could happen again, because I don't think Holloway knows how to shut a game down.
No, we that's been the problem at home, isn't it? Is that teams sit back and we find it hard to get behind them.
Yeah.
We're much better at playing teams that kind of come on to us, and we can sort of press in the middle of the park and sort of hit them on the break. Yes, it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be as easy as it was in the two home games. But I think it is. I think they are preferable as an opposition to Birmingham.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
We just are a bit of a bogey team for us. They're the new Bolton, aren't they?
Yeah, they are a bit, yeah.
And Houghton's a good manager. I mean, they're a good, well-organised side. I've just got my doubts about Blackpool. These words will come back to haunt me almost certainly. But I just don't think that they're not an organised team like West Ham never have been either until now. Under
we are now.
Suddenly we know what we're doing. We go into a game knowing what the plan is.
Yeah, well, I think it's just too late to get automatic promotion. He does seem to have found his best team.
Yeah,
and there's a settled, confident air about the team now. It seems to me. Demel's presence at right back has been important in that, I think, and being able to play Taylor at left back means you get the benefit of his delivery at set pieces. Some of the crosses he puts in are fantastic. But for me, the kind of unsung hero in all this, and the kind of almost like the key bit in the kind of
I think
jigsaw,
you should sing it, Jim.
Is
you're going to sing Gary O'Neill.
I'm going to sing Gary O'Neill because I think Gary O'Neill was wasted. He was played in the wrong position as a kind of sort of wide right player. He's a central midfielder. He's got energy. He closes people down. I think he's been fantastic.
He's got mobility.
Been fantastic last few games. He's been reminding me of Steve Lomas over the last few games.
Well, no higher praise.
And some of us quite like Steve Lomas.
I like Steve Lomas.
Steve Lomas was an all right player, but you said it like he reminds me of Bobby Moore. None other than Steve Lomas himself.
Oh, come on.
Never say his name out loud.
Come on.
They call Rolls Royces the Steve Lomas of cars. The Steve Lomas of cars, don't they?
Yeah. They call the Oscars the Steve Lomas of movie awards.
That's right, yeah. About Cristiano Ronaldo, they say he's no Steve Lomas. And in a way, they're right. In a very real sense.
There's no way you can deny that.
No, absolutely.
Gary O'Neill is good.
He is good.
And we were saying earlier as well that he, Allardyce obviously likes quite rightly a player who just sits in front of the back four at the back of that midfield, and he had Papa Dooba Diop Bop doing it earlier in the season.
Papa Umamau Mau, Papa Umau Mamau.
Yes. Doing it, and he was quite an immobile player, but he was very large. And then he's given that job now to Gary O'Neill. He's much more of a mobile player who can do that. He can break play up, but he also can use the ball.
Absolutely, they're a much more fluid unit in midfield now, aren't they? Much more flexible, as it were.
Papa Booba Diop can be seen from space.
He can. Yeah. That's just one of the things he brings to the side.
Absolutely. Yeah. Jim, you've got a quiz.
I've got a quiz. Yeah, I've got a quiz. Yeah, I've got a quiz. So I've got little printed answer sheets as well, so we could hand out the.
Should do some handouts.
We could hand them out.
I think a lot of the great podcasts, the essence of them is having footage, audio footage of people writing.
Yeah,
that's what creates tension.
The
in any
scribble of biro on A4 has a certain poetry to it.
It's going to be like an audio podcast. Yeah. The sound of people writing.
It's going to be a John Cage moment for the.
I'd buy a CD of that. In fact, I own CDs of the sound of famous writers scribbling.
Right. Well, that's what audiobooks used to be. Was the sound of the person just writing the book. That's what audiobooks
take an occasional sip of water.
Yeah, that's what they occasionally were.
Sometimes the sound of a door opening.
Sometimes chuckling at their own quips. Oh yes, that's very good.
So question sheets have been distributed.
They are. Imagine picture the scene as
these beautiful men, the platinum knights of
and
Platinum Knights of Barking.
Paul, what are they called again? The Platinum Knights of...
Piece of paper.
Oh.
So is it? All right. You could, of course, you can do this. You can join in at home with this quiz.
The Knights of the Platinum Temple.
The Knights of the Platinum Table, the most loyal... I made this up. That's what I said. Temple. Knights of the Platinum Temple. That's what I said. Okay. The Knights of the Platinum Temple, the most loyal and beautiful of all the Stop Hammer Time listeners.
Oh, right.
I'm just trying to paint a picture in the minds of our listeners.
So the thing about this quiz is there's got to be a bit of educated guesswork in this quiz. It's an arithmetical quiz. Every answer is a number, and what we want to do is total up your numbers at the end. So your final grand total will mark how well you do in the quiz. You need an answer.
So a correct answer.
But bang, yeah, indeed, it's quite important.
So
okay.
Yeah. So, question number one.
I haven't got a pen.
Question number one. So, the answer to question number one is the number of West Ham's Wembley appearances, not including this Saturday. So, how many times in a competitive match have West Ham appeared at Wembley, including the old, obviously, Wembley Stadium, but not including this Saturday? That's question number one. You don't have to tell me the answer now. We're going to do the answers.
There's going to have to be quite a bit of editing in this podcast.
In the next podcast. We're going to do the answers in the next one. We're coming back to the answers.
And listeners can tweet their numbers.
And listeners can tweet their answers, their numbers.
Jim, you could have mentioned that. You could have mentioned that earlier.
Well, I've mentioned it now. It's better late than never.
Jim, are you saying with or without this
I think it's going swimmingly. I don't know about anyone else.
Jim, are you saying with or without this appearance?
Without this Saturday. Right. Don't include this Saturday in your answer.
Now I'm all over this.
Okay. Yeah. Number two.
26.
Number two. For number two, you need to know the year that West Ham last won at Anfield.
Yes.
In a league match, and add up the sum of the digits in that year.
Oh, well, they always say as a clue that the Beatles are at number one with, I think, something like She Loves You.
Yeah.
They always rate
we're going back a few years, aren't we? We are. So that's number two, the sum of the digits of the year West Ham last won a game at Anfield.
Fucking hell, Jim, this quiz is hard.
Well, it's...
I'm just looking at question 3 before you read it out.
This is good. I said educated guesswork, you see, is what we're after here.
So nearest total wins.
The nearest total is going to win the non-existent prize.
This is a good question coming up.
Kevin Keane, how many goals did he score League and Cup for West Ham? Goals total for
Play
West
along
Ham.
at home.
He scored that many.
My guess is...
by all means, work in teams.
Work in teams.
The request has come for people to work in teams. Work in teams.
Progressive.
That's good. That's good.
Temple.
That's good. Yeah. Question 4. The time in minutes of Sir Trevor's winning goal in the 1980 Cup final.
In minutes?
Well, so in what minute of the game did he score the goal? And that will give you your numerical answer for number 4.
Simply what minute did he score?
Was it in the second minute and we held on for 88 minutes?
It was. I think it was in the first half.
It was early,
I'll
wasn't
go that. It was in the first half. It was quite early.
We held on.
Yeah. Question 5. Penalty king Ray Stewart.
Tonka.
Yeah, he took 86 penalties in his West Ham career. It's an astonishing number, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
How many did he fail to score of that 86? So it's the number he failed to score.
81.
Out of 86. Okay. Question 6. And this is Rio Ferdinand's West Ham squad number. We'll give you the answer to question 6. Now, I'll be prepared to admit he might have come into the team as a youth player with a different squad, but the squad number for which he was known at West Ham is the answer to number 6. Question 7 is the number of non-English West Ham captains since the war.
Even ones who've maybe just captained the side once?
No, established captains. So if they just captain the team for the odd game, that's not that. I'm talking about people who were appointed club captain.
Does that include Irish and Scottish?
It does include Irish and Scottish.
So you, Jim Grant, do not recognise the Union? Is that what you're saying?
Non-English. Non-English.
Right.
Yes. So Scottish, Northern Irish, Welsh.
Which war?
Second World War, mate. Second World War, mate. Yeah. Oh, Percy Pedant is in the audience. Question 9.
Don't start insulting the audience.
Question 8. Sorry.
It's begun already.
The Knights of the Platinum Temple have travelled from far and wide to come here, and what you would
being
expect
insulted
something
by-
better than just
They're
abuse.
starting to get a bit snippy.
Jim, we're furious.
I'm not happy. No, sorry, I said question 9 there
How long before
prematurely.
he starts flinging
This is
his
question
own-
8. Okay, this is the number of players to have been Hammer of the Year 3 or more times since 1958, when I think it was introduced. So it's the number of players to have been Hammer of the Year 3 or more times.
Ooh, 3 or more.
And a lot of the answers there are pretty obvious, I have to say. But you've got to tot up the total, and that gives you your number. Question 9 is a more contemporary question. Your number is the number of home league games. We know we won a record number of away league games this season. The number of home league games that West Ham won this season. It felt like it was,
Hardly
not
any.
a great home season, but actually we won a fair number of home games. How many? And the final question in the quiz is Is he?
That's
here we go.
the Knights of the Platinum Temple have fallen out. The big copying.
There's a
of
claim.
each
There's a claim someone's copying. Yeah. But don't be a snitch, Ian. Okay.
other. Liston Boxer's going to be furious. He's going to rape his vengeance over you.
Yeah. And the final question, number 10. Our dear friend Thomas Repka, how many times was he sent off in his West Ham career? I can tell you that in his overall professional career, dear Thomas was sent off 17 times, which is the record for a professional footballer in world football. Yeah,
No.
it is.
He's been sent off more than any other player.
Exactly, yeah.
Ever.
Thomas Repka. Wow.
Thomas Repka, 17
That
times.
is really, really
But how many
impressive.
of them were for West Ham?
Wow.
And that's the quiz.
That's fascinating. And that's so the answers to
The
this.
gotta add all these
answers, you've got to add all your answers
Yeah.
up,
Oh, God, we'll be
and the
here all day.
nearest to the correct total will be the winner of the quiz.
Now, Jim, are we going to? We should give these answers in the next
podcast. Yeah,
we're
give
going to be
people a chance to think
recording.
about
We're
that.
going to be recording everything this evening. Obviously, we're going to record 2 podcasts this evening. One with our special interview and other stuff. And so have a think about those questions. What a good set of questions, Jim.
Thank you.
Well done. A big round of applause for Jim.
Thank you.
Well done, Jim.
Please try and build up Jim's confidence at this most trying of times. As he, this is the 12-step program is acceptance.
What he needs is something.
Acceptance.
I have to say, I was pissed when I looked up the answer, so it might be wrong.
Right. Acceptance. A decision to make yourself change.
Yeah.
Setting a quiz.
Yeah.
And then 9 other ones that I don't know.
Yeah.
He effectively he needs something to pour his energies into outside of alcohol and violence.
Sam, you hosted Stop Hammer Time recently.
Yes.
In a drunken.
I went through my own breakdown on air, so I can sympathise with what Jim's gone through all season.
I left you more or less in the infrastructure of Stop Hammer Time.
More or less,
More or less
it
a
was
regular.
like you'd given me your baby
I
and
knew
said,
that-
I'm just going off for a few days. Can you look after this baby and make sure it doesn't die?
Sam,
And I beat it almost to death.
That's right. Yeah.
I haven't killed your baby, Phil, but I have beaten it severely.
Yeah, it was impressive. It was
a strange
I didn't hear it
evening.
myself. I couldn't bring myself to hear it. But what I enjoyed was the descriptions of it on Facebook.
Yeah.
Admittedly from yourself the next day.
Yeah.
I'd seen you only a couple of hours before.
Well,
before you
in many
committed
ways, you were the architect of the car crash that was the Stop Hammer Time that night.
How so?
Because we wanted to meet up to discuss this very evening, ironically.
That's right, yeah.
And so we were both working, and you said, I'll meet in the pub. So we went to the pub. Incidentally, you did tell me the wrong pub, so there was some... Anyway, look, that's irrelevant.
Yep.
When we got there, I was furious as a result of your bad directions.
And through your rage.
And through my rage, I had to drink it
Drink
off.
heavily.
I let off some steam with a couple of afternoon pints. Then I can't remember what happened next. I ended up in the Golden Lion down the road. Golden Eagle.
Yeah.
And with a couple of guest stars. I mean, you and Jim were both away. It was basically the lunatics had taken over the asylum. I had David Hall, the esteemed editor of 442 magazine, and the very much less esteemed editor of the runningbug.com. And we just carried on drinking, and Paul was down in the basement, and they were doing a lesser podcast for some other club. And you were overrunning, weren't you, Paul? It was Arsenal. You kept overrunning with TV's Boyd Hilton, and I kept sticking my head round the door, and then no, a bit later. So every time we went back, we had another pint. So for a combination of your tardiness and the tardiness of the Arsenal podcast, I continued to drink to fill the time.
You'd been slighted by my misdirection in terms of Soho pubs,
Yes.
and so you felt you had an injury and you drank it off.
I was
very much like Tony Adams.
I was
used
full
to,
of rage.
At his height,
I was full of
he
rage.
He would drink off an injury.
Yeah, and then remember what
you could
Tony
probably
Adams
just
did
drink this off.
What Tony Adams used to do was he'd come in the next morning to training and wrap himself in black bin liners under his kit to try and sweat off the alcohol.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I was waiting for the podcast to start, and I went to a local all-night store on Marylebone High Street, and I bought some bin bags.
Right.
And I instructed the editor of 442 to wrap my body in the bin bags very tight. Then I put my clothes back on so Paul Myers would never know that I was drunk.
Right.
And I figured that by the time I got to the bottom of the stairs, I would have sweated off the several pints of alcohol I'd drunk. And you'll have all noticed, anyone who did hear it, that what I did was I did the time-honoured technique that you used to use to distract your parents when you came home drunk by acting very, very serious.
Right.
And I thought, then no one will know that I'm drunk because I'm so serious. And no one who's drunk will ever act seriously.
No.
So what I did was I delivered a podcast in the style of someone who knew about football and just wanted to talk about football as opposed to just fuck about.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, it was shit.
You forgot about the fucking about agenda
Yes, I
that
did,
makes
yeah.
this podcast what it is.
It was embarrassing. But, there you go. These things happen.
You're back. Jim's been
I'm
through
back.
a lot worse. Jim's been through hell.
I'll bounce back.
To hell and back.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Leaving Las Vegas was based on Jim's life story. Leaving Sevenoaks.
Yeah, leaving.
It was about Nicolas Cage and some actress going to a shopping centre in Sevenoaks and trying to drink the whole of Threshers, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that was based on your life.
Could have been worse. Could have been leaving Maidstone.
That's,
Hang on.
Jim.
He's absolutely
Bloody
off
hell,
the leash.
Jim. That's
Sorry,
Christ, Jim.
it's a bit of local Kent thing.
What an awful thing to say.
Sorry.
What an awful, awful racist thing to say, Jim. Jim, I can't believe you said that.
It was racist.
Did you hear that, Sam?
Yeah, I heard it. I can't believe it. I'm still trying to absorb what he said.
I can't. Yeah.
I will understand if any of the Knights of the Platinum Temple want to walk out
Just
now.
want to walk out. Yeah.
Particularly those from Maidstone.
Yeah.
Stop it!
Sorry,
Jim,
I was just
Christ
stating
almighty.
the obvious.
Stop it, Jim. You're scaring me.
It's terrifying. He's just like a coiled spring, but a spring with mace.
He's like Begbie. He's very much like Ben Kingsley in Sexy Beast, isn't he?
yeah.
No.
Yeah. Except the word no in iambic pentameter formed into a sonnet. So no.
That's better.
Yeah, it's Jim. You've talking of sonnets. You have a poem for us.
I do have
just
a
to
poem.
wrap up this.
It's
Just to
more
wrap
of a-
up this.
One of the Knights of the Platinum Temple,
I'll
of
have to
course,
say,
hates poetry.
Matt Liston is here.
No, it qualifies. It qualifies for Matt Liston because it is actually effectively a song. But I'm not sure I can really sing it because I'm not a singer as such. But it's homage to Cole Porter and the song "Who Wants to Be a Millionaire." I do.
Sing it.
What?
Come on, Jim.
Anyway,
sing it.
what this is for everybody, this is advanced consolation. So for all Sam's optimism about beating Blackpool, let's face it, we might be staring down the barrel of another season in the Championship.
Well, it doesn't matter 'cause we've all had a good
Christ
time.
almighty, Jim.
We've all enjoyed it in the Championship. haven't we?
Sorry.
What the fucking
So-
hell's going on? Bloody hell.
So weird.
So These are words of consolation.
We are 5 days away
That's
from
my
the biggest
thinking.
games in the club's history.
Yeah, all right.
And you are gonna you've written a poem.
Yeah.
About how we might
Anticipating
probably
defeat.
lose.
What's
Fucking
seems to me that's entirely in keeping with
unbelievable.
Knights of the Platinum Temple,
Yeah.
subdue him.
Assemble.
Yeah. Right. Well, if you've seen the film High Society, there's a scene with Frank Sinatra. And,
Not being funny, but this is getting gayer by the minute.
Sorry. And so it's entitled Promotion to Anyone. And there's a little bit of chatter between him and the bird who's in the thing. So it follows that pattern and the pattern of the song. Shall I start?
Yeah.
Shall I get on
Yes.
with it? Who has an itch to play the filthy rich? Who gives a toss for yet another loss?
Swearing.
Who longs to pay a fortune to go away where fortune will be hiding anyway? Who wants to play in the top flight?
I don't.
Be sad
Sing
and
it.
angry Saturday night.
I don't.
Who wants to watch us at that shit Emirates? That shit Emirates is one place I hate. Who wants to wallow in defeat?
I don't.
Watch Rooney dive and Nanny cheat.
I don't.
Who wants to lose at Liverpool too? I don't. And I don't, because all I want is value for money and a half-decent atmosphere.
Hey! Oh.
There's more.
There is more. Who wants an Olympic stadium? I don't. Have our own wanker with a drum. I don't. Who wants to see our Scott in a white Tottenham shirt? Scott in that shirt. Now that, sir, will hurt. Who wants a demoralised defence? I don't. Who wants a minus goal difference? I don't. Who wants a season fighting the drop too? I don't. And I don't, because all I want is double pie and mash and a few away wins.
Hooray! That was quite moving.
It was very touching.
Actually, it made a lot of sense. I apologise now for
It's just a bit of
criticising it,
consolation. It'll be
well,
all
not
right,
consolation.
you
It's a nice reflection on the season gone by.
it's
In
right,
many
okay.
ways, it's been more enjoyable, hasn't it?
know? Yeah, in some ways,
It
yeah.
has. We've won a lot. There's been quite a lot of good football. Contrary to
Exciting times.
Yes, we were deluded, and
But it
we
is
were
better
deluded
to
and we
win than
talked.
lose, regardless of the context. I think that much is true. It's actually, aside from being depressing to lose, it's actually really boring. When you lose every week, it's just fucking boring to watch,
Yeah.
isn't it? You just turn up and lose, and it's just crappy.
I have to say though, I think the one thing about if we do go up about a team under Allardyce, love him or hate him, is that he will go into those games against the Big Five thinking, bloody hell, how are we going to win this? Whereas I felt under Zola and certainly under Grant, we were sort of psychologically beaten in those games before they started.
we
They used
can't
to,
beat
you know,
teams,
Zola would just do his press conferences about a game against Chelsea or Arsenal, saying how wonderful they were. Whereas I think Allardyce will go, no, we'll work out. It might be a bit ugly, but we'll work out ways of trying to actually, do them.
give them a game. Yeah. Well, that's it. That's it for
That's the end of this.
Stop
Right.
Hammer Time, and then we're going to record another one afterwards.
Fair enough.
I'm ready to record another.
Well,
one.
the next
I
one.
feel like I've just warmed up. In a
If
way.
you are listening to this in the future,
Yeah.
then this will be what before.
This will be
Okay.
sort of during the week, and
Well-
then the next one we record will be at the weekend.
Make sure you tune in for an exclusive interview with Jack Collison,
An ex-
2-goal hero of the playoff semi-finals,
Absolutely,
which I have to say is rather revealing.
absolutely. It's a warts and all.
It really is.
expose,
I mean, it's
isn't
very
it?
much. Your performance reminded me very much of like. It was like Frost Nixon. That's
Yes,
what it's like.
yes,
I don't
yes.
know what role I played, but I don't know whether
You
I was
were-
the
yeah.
producer or what, but it was very much listening to you and him interplay with each other. A game of intellectual cat and
verbal
mouse.
jousting.
It was very much like that.
It was like Allardyce versus Holloway verbal jousting.
It was,
between
yeah. It was
myself and,
it was bantankerous, but
a-
it was also intense.
Bantankerous is a good expression.
It was bantankerous.
like-
So tune in for the bantankerous Foss versus Nixon that was Whelans versus Collison, and also, of course, the end of season Stop Hammer Time Awards, which is tremendously exciting.
Yes, absolutely, and the results of Jim's quiz as well.
Yes,
That's,
there's so much.
yeah. There's so much to look forward to. We're going to do that in about 15 minutes after we've got more drink down Jim. But in the meantime, this has been this week's Stop Hammer Time with Sam Delaney,
Hello,
Jim
Bye.
Grant,
Cheerio.
and myself, Phil Whelans. Come on, you Irons!
This is a Playback Media production. Get all the associated links for this podcast at westhampodcast.com.